Okay, hello, welcome back. It's been kind of a hectic end of the week for me. So I am very, very late in getting this out. Apologies for that. Also, just to keep you aware, I did do a video that was supposed to answer 50 questions about Mormons, about members of my church. Technically, we're the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Mormons is just a nickname, so nobody's confused there. And I did do it, but then the first 18 questions got cut off. So it starts halfway through my answer to the 18th question and then moves on. So I will be moving on and covering that soon. The first 18. I'm actually going to get a little more detailed than I did before in my first answers that got completely unrecorded. So you can look forward to that if you are interested in knowing, how we answer certain bizarre questions about us. But today we're going into Sunday school lesson, so yay. And this is let's see, Matthew 8:18 and Luke 10 is what we studied. So we'll get started on it. So first off, there are quite a few fun things that happened in this lesson. Just some great stories, great lessons. But we have Simon Peters, asks the question, how often should we forgive someone who has offended us? And I think, he put, maybe 7 times. He was, I think, trying to, guess what how the Lord would answer this, because traditionally it was only, I think 3 times was the traditional response, and he overestimated and said 7. And the Lord responded, not 7, but 7 times 77. Or, yeah, it's just, yeah. Anyway, a lot was the answer. And basically, yes, every single time someone offends you, you forgive them. And, that is really hard to do. Especially if somebody keeps doing it, and it's like, do I have to keep forgiving this guy? Come on. Ugh. So, but we have to keep forgiving people. And this is very important because, we do bad things too. No matter how good we are or how much we try, we do bad things, and we will need to be forgiven at some time by other people. So, if we're not willing to forgive people, how can we expect to be forgiven? And the answer is, we can't. So yeah, I'll always practice that art of forgiving. Always, be willing to forgive someone their trespasses. Now, I'm going a little bit off lesson here, but I think it's an important note to cover. Several years ago, I was asked this question. Can you forgive this person? And my response was, I will forgive them, but I'm not going to forget them. And I received a lot of condemnation from people for saying, no, if you really forgive them, you'll forget what they did. And my response to that was, what they did, severely hurt me. It severely impacted my life. I had to cope with that. I had to deal with that. If I forget that they've done this, then I'm just letting them hurt me again and again and again. And that's not what forgiveness is about. It's, we forgive people for their actions, like when I just bumped that guy. But, we don't forget it because, it could happen again. We need to keep ourselves safe. We need to protect ourselves. And there are many people who've gotten into abusive relationships or dangerous situations where yes, they should forgive, the person who hurt them, but they should also remember how they've been hurt so that they can avoid it in the future and they can keep themselves safe. And I think that is a very important aspect of forgiveness is not that we forget what has happened, but that we remember what has happened and we avoid it. I think that's for both sides. So if we've done something bad, we should, and we've been forgiven, we should remember, hey, we did something bad, and we should be careful not to do that bad thing again. And, likewise, if we've been hurt by someone, we should remember, hey, this person hurt me, so to keep myself safe, I should remember that, and I should take whatever precautions are necessary. And it is a fine line to walk. It's like, if I'm remembering this, have I really forgiven them? And I think if you continually think about it, if it's constantly on your mind, then I don't believe you've truly forgiven the person for it. But if you can, you know, if it's not constantly on your mind, but just, you know, just remembered as this is dangerous for me, I should keep myself safe, then I think you have succeeded in forgiving people. Just my 2 cents there. So let's move on to the rest of the lesson. So we talk about several things in this lesson. We have, actually, one of my favorite parables is in this lesson. That's the parable of the Good Samaritan. It's such a great story, and I think it's important to remember kind of the historical significance. So we'll do the parable story. So a man was assaulted and robbed and left, you know, lying on a road that was traveled. And 3 people passed him, and these people, this is important, they are people in very high standing. You know, so I'm going to do a modern day equivalent. It'd be like, you know, someone who is a priest, someone very high up in a religion, walks by and just sees the person lying there and just ignores him and keeps walking. Just, you know, crosses the other side of the road and walks past them, as do several other people of high standing. And, you know, say the equivalent of, say, the local mayor passes and like, yeah, just pass on the other side. A very religious man pass on the other side. Someone who gives a lot of money in charity passes on the other side. These are equivalencies. These aren't what was in the original. But, you know, people who you would expect to you know, do good for the community and the people, just ignore this person who's been beaten and left to die on the side of the road. And it's not until a Samaritan comes by, and Samaritan at this time pretty much, excuse me, pretty much rhymes with scum of the universe. They were considered to be just horrible, horrible people. In the far distant past, they were Jewish people who had intermarried with Gentiles. So they were considered unclean, impure. They were not good people, essentially. And one of the things they, you know, and I don't know if we have an equivalent group of people nowadays, but they were just considered very, very bad people in general. And yet the Samaritan comes by and he helps this man. He goes well beyond what he needs to do to help this man. He doesn't only, you know, help him, get him, you know, medical assistance. He actually, with his own money, he puts him up in a local inn, pays for however long the guy needs to be there, and then tells the inn, keep him as long as he needs to recover. If it costs more than what I've given you, I will be traveling back through here soon, and when I come back, I will pay however much he uses. This is, you know, he does a lot more, you know, a lot more than was certainly expected of him. I mean, nowadays, if it happens, you know, you could get the guy to the hospital and then leave and have a clear conscience. This guy went well beyond doing that. And he was, you know, a horrible person. You know, he was from a group of people that were considered to be just the worst people ever. And so, you know, asking that question is, you know, it asks the question, and the question that he was asked is the question that Christ was asked before he gave this parable was, who is your neighbor? And the Samaritan, you know, behaved as if, you know, the guy who was the scuzziest person on the face of the earth because of the people he came from, behaved as if he were, you know, as if he were truly the neighbor of this man who had been injured. And that's, you know, such a great lesson. So first off, everyone is our neighbor. Even the really annoying people are our neighbor. There's a great part on a TV show called Keeping Up Appearances, where the local what are they called? Parson? The local religious leader. I cannot remember what they're called. Priest, maybe. Anyway, he's supposed to be giving a lesson on love thy neighbor, and he's informed that this really annoying woman, Mrs. Bouquet, is around, and he does everything he can to avoid this person. Then he goes back to try and teach his lesson, and he stops and says, no, I better do the water into wine at this point. So, you know, he recognizes that, yeah, he's not treating her as his neighbor, and he realizes that he really should be. And that's how we should be. Even to the annoying, really truly annoying people out there, you know, we should treat them as if our neighbors, treat them kindly whenever we can. And it goes back to kind of the forgiveness. We should forgive people for being annoying. A lot of them, that's just the way they are. They don't realize that they could be different. And, you know, maybe we can help them be a better person. Maybe we can help them not be so annoying, not do all these things that really bother us. And the thing about forgiveness is, if we don't exercise forgiveness, if we don't do that, we actually have need of repentance. I talked about this before. That, yeah, it's, you know, oftentimes we'll hold such hate and animus. Is that the right word I'm thinking of? Maybe I'm thinking of Assassin's Creed. Anyway, we hold so much hate inside of us that it actually becomes our sin when somebody's done us wrong. And yeah, to be able to step back and just forgive them, you know, that helps us be a better person. That helps us repent of our own sins. So, yep, very good, very important. There were several other things in the lesson I won't get to or won't cover. But I will want to end with a very important little tidbit, which is about children. Basically, the question asked of the Lord is how we should act and behave. And he gives this answer several times. We should behave as children. Now, most people take... there's a... I'll use this as an example. There is a massive difference between the word childlike and childish. And there was a great comic called Unshelved, which did this as an example. It showed childlike, and it showed one of the main characters in it with a kid on his back, and you know he's you know making a roaring sound and pretending to be a dinosaur for the kid, and the kid's having a blast. Then it shows a man. It takes place in a library. He's at a library, and he's you know just saying, "You don't have the book I want," and then just you know making the same roaring sound in anger that he can't get what he's looking for. And that's the difference between childlike and childish. And the advice to be like children is to be childlike. It is not to be childish. Because children have great qualities. They're kind, they're loving, they're friendly. They're easy to teach. They love to learn, they love to be taught. And they listen, and they obey. Now, the childish aspects of children, yes, that does happen. They can be angry, they can be petty, they can be basically just exactly like adults, but more, they show these emotions more than adults would. But oftentimes they will behave exactly like adults, and that's when they're behaving childishly. So, that's the important lesson there, is to be childlike, but not childish. So, we'll end on that quick look at the tree. So anyway, that's the Sunday school lesson. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe if you liked it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.